Hello, everyone, and welcome to our May 2021 event. I am here with Selma from Coventry University. My name is Mariana, and I'm head of advisors for OK Student. And we're going to be talking to all of you today about the May intake 2021. So first and foremost, Selma, do you want to introduce yourself?
Thank you so much, Mariana. Hi, everybody. I am Selma, and I work for Coventry University. I'm based actually in London, which is the capital of the UK, as you know, best city in the world. But of course, we do have lots of different campuses at Coventry, including the main campus, which is in Coventry, about an hour north of London.
Perfect. And we're going to talk about the Coventry London campus as well. We're going to talk about the Coventry main campus, and we're going to talk about everything around the May intake. So if you have any questions, don't forget, comment below. And we're going to be just talking about all of this around the May intake to make sure that you have all the information to allow you to come to the UK as soon as possible so that you can start your studies with Coventry University. So Selma, first and foremost, I wanted to ask you, what is this thing around the May intake? Like, what is it? Has it ever existed? Has Coventry been doing this for a really long time? And who is it targeted to?
It's actually a really good question because I think a lot of people probably don't know that universities in the UK do a May intake. And Coventry is unique, and you touched on that point. So, I mean, we all know the September intake. So all around the world, kind of August, September tends to be like back to school vibes, right? And so that is kind of the main intake. It tends to coordinate with people's kind of leaving results, whether they're say in secondary school and they get their final results, or even when you graduate from university and you're coming to do a master's. So September is kind of the main big intake. And over the years, Mariana, a lot of universities have also adapted a January intake. And that tended to be quite kind of postgraduate focused. And that was kind of for the students who just missed that September. So whether that's because results in some countries come out late or for whatever reason they weren't able to start in September, January was offered. Now, Coventry's gone the extra mile because we also offer quite a sizable May intake. So yeah, which is great because it's yet another option. And I think that the more options and the more flexible universities are, the better it is for the student.
Absolutely, absolutely, because it allows students to come in at such different times of years. It helps us as well just kind of time manage a bit better, I think. Mm-hmm. If I had the option to go for a May intake, I would definitely go right now because I feel like it would get me ahead from all of my colleagues. Is this right?
This is exactly right. And also, what's interesting is that you can come in May, whether you're doing an undergraduate, so you could do a bachelor's, you could do a top-up degree, which is like your final year of a bachelor's. You could do your MBA, you could do a master's, you could do a master's with the extended professional practice, which we'll touch on a bit later, but that is kind of work experience as well. But you start in May, so it might be kind of mid-May or toward the end of May, depending on which campus you come. And then you work through the summer, and in the UK we've got usually beautiful, sunny, lovely summers. The sun doesn't set until sometimes 11 o'clock at night, kind of daylight. The mood of the country just completely changes and it's amazing. So you work through that time and you get to like dabble in all the joys of UK or British summertime. And then you restart your second semester in September along with everybody else. So you're not kind of off kilter for the whole time, whether you're with us for a year or for 3 years. You rejoin in that September cohort, and then you'll meet lots of new people, lots of new friends, all that buzz on campus.
Exactly. So that's exactly what I was going to mention. And just to mention for our audience here, we are live. So if you have any questions about this May intake, don't forget to comment below. My name is Mariana. I'm the head of advisors for OK Student, and I'm here with Selma today from Coventry University, chatting about this amazing opportunity, especially for EU students, to come in May. So Selma was just telling me how if you come in on the May intake, you then can join with your September classmates as well. So basically, this is kind of in between both intakes that we were talking about, right? The January and the September intake. So it seems to me that students end up having a huge opportunity to meet more people and extend their personal and professional networks much more than if they were to join in September. What do you think of this?
I mean, Mariana, it's like the best of both worlds, right? So you start in May, and it's kind of like a soft landing. So you start with smaller cohort of students, but still with all that wraparound, concierge service that you can expect as a EU or international student. And then once you're kind of settled in, you're used to the academics, you've acclimatized to the environment, whether that is, by the way, online or in person, because we'll touch on that later. But, we are still in that dreadful COVID time, but we've got, great plans and great kind of ways to mitigate that. But whether you're doing it online or in person, you can acclimatize to your academic environment. And then in September for semester 2, you kick off semester 2 along with we're at about 32,000 students now at Coventry.
Wow.
So you can imagine how fun, how cool. I mean, I shouldn't say this, but great kind of parties, student societies, opportunities for you to meet local employers, opportunities for you to attend really cool like guest lecturers, keynote lecturers by academic staff, all the kind of things that you can ever dream of that happen on a large university campus.
Exactly. It sounds like it's really just exactly as you said it, a really soft landing for students, because I remember when I started my undergraduate or even my postgraduate in September, there's a lot of people at a university. It's really chaotic. It's a lot of things happening at once. So if you have the opportunity to start in May, you have a bit of a soft landing here, and then you restart and rejoin in September and have this amazing university experience that we're all waiting to start. So you touched on this blended approach as well. And this is something I know of Coventry, is that you guys have an amazing platform called Aula, right? Yep. Where you do all of your blended teaching. So do you want to go a bit into that?
Absolutely. So for those of you that don't know, for our listeners out there, Coventry University, although our history dates back to about 1841 when we were kind of a design school, we are known as a modern university, and we've got a modern approach to, in fact, everything that we do. So our architecture on the campus, it's kind of that mix between the old and the new, and the way that we teach and the way that students learn, we've adapted kind of modern things from the onset. And then COVID hit, right? What a disaster. So thank God that Coventry already had engaged in a platform called Aula. So it's A-U-L-A, Aula. And Coventry is one of the largest universities in the UK, and we've got a lot of students, a lot of faculty, a lot of campuses. We're a very sizable institution. And our vice chancellor was really brave and took a really modern approach and actually moved us away from a platform called Moodle, which is something that a lot of universities use, but it's not very dynamic. So it's kind of like your student room online, and you can, in theory, engage with your academics, engage with your peers, but it was coded a long time ago, and it's really not that dynamic or interactive. And we were on that platform. But, we moved to this thing called Aula. What Aula actually is it's a startup. And it was a group of students from Oxford University, and they come mostly from Denmark. And they actually quit their studies at Oxford, and they started this company called Aula. And it's an online platform and a new way for students to learn online and to engage with their academics and their peers. And it very much looks like Facebook or like Twitter. There's like a feed, right? And most importantly, it is completely mobile active. So you can be on your mobile phone or on your iPad or whatever device that you have, or your laptop, or all three, and you can engage directly with your academic tutors or your classmates. And we actually bought this software and implemented it before COVID, but COVID kind of pushed us forward because we immediately, almost overnight, had to bring everything from in-person to online teaching. So it was a really brave move, a big step, because things could have gone wrong, but they didn't. Things went actually better than we ever expected. And students are able to do live, like this, a live lecture with their academic, or they can, not that we encourage it, but if they do miss something, then they can play back the lecture, and which is really useful, especially if you're doing engineering, mathematics, it's good to be able to go back and say, hold on, I didn't quite get that. What was that? And you can play that back in your own time. And then you can have group work. Academics will ask questions or post opportunities, and then you can answer live, much like Facebook or whatever. So it's been a huge success.
That's amazing. I mean, that's so impressive that even my logo kind of fell off the wall hearing about Aula. I'm really happy that you guys have sorted through the solution so quickly. And it sounds like such a good way for students to interact because, yeah, I think most platforms tend to be interactive, but up to a certain point and don't exactly mimic the live experience of being in a lecture. And it's exactly what you mentioned with engineering and mathematics, especially. It's really important that we can review everything and kind of, oh, I didn't get that part. Can we like go back to it? And instead of interrupting a lecture continuously, you can just play it back in your own time and see it without necessarily interrupting for everyone else. So I wanted to ask you as well about the engineering courses, because we were talking about engineering. Is there engineering courses available for this May intake?
There is, yeah. So we've got structural engineering, for example. We have oil and gas engineering. We've got engineering management. You might need an engineering manager to fix your sign out there.
Exactly.
Yes, we do have engineering courses available. We also have things like computer science available as well, data science. And then we also kind of have, so we've got the structural engineering, which is great, but it might not be the right fit for everybody. So students who also are looking to go into the management side, we've got things like construction management. So kind of sits within a similar area, and a structural engineer might even do the master's in construction management, right? So we've got all those courses available in May. In fact, Mariana, don't quote me on it, but I think that we have the largest offer of May courses in the UK. We've got 42 available on the main campus, and then we've got 8 courses available on our London campus, which is in central London, and it's more of a business school. So quite varied, actually.
That's perfect. That's perfect. So it's just, there's a lot of options for students out there. There's a lot of option for European students and for international students looking to come to Coventry in May. So definitely, if you're still thinking about coming in May to the UK and doing your studies here with us, and especially with Coventry University, definitely send us an email at info@okstudent.co.uk or send us your details through okstudent.com/book a meeting. So I wanted to ask you, we've talked about these courses and we've talked a bit about your blended approach. Since we're talking about this, shall we talk a bit about the concerns around COVID and how Coventry has been dealing with this?
Yeah. I mean, look, this COVID is on everybody's mind right now, and it's been devastating in so many countries, in so many economies, in so many localities, and it's been really disruptive to education. And we don't run from that, and we don't hide from that. We acknowledge it. And, you know, it was really difficult when we went into the first lockdown here in the UK, and students were told, you know, for your own safety and for staff safety, actually, you are being moved to an online function, and things are very much unknown. But we are a year into it. It was a year ago, I think this week, that we went into the first kind of UK national lockdown. And the Prime Minister has been very clear. In fact, he deemed it the one-way road to freedom. So there is a really clear plan right now on what exactly is going to happen. And I have dates that I can share with you of how the UK is going to reopen. And that, of course, affects universities as well. So we have been at the forefront with government and our other UK university allies on how can we balance the need to continue to educate students. And we know that a lot of students want to be on campus. We know that, and we do as well. You know, we want to be able to interact and see and feel that kind of buzz on campus, that academic buzz, the social buzz. But there has to be a balance between when is it really safe to do so, and how can we make sure that staff and students feel safe and indeed are safe. So our campuses have gone through enormous kind of risk assessments and changes with structural engineers and construction managers and all kinds of people to make sure that from things like the air vents, are they COVID secure, and windows and air conditioning and social distancing and how many people can be in a stairwell and how far away the desks must be, and it's down to kind of minute details. And I'm really happy to say that that's all been done, secured, locked in. And I suppose students would expect that, but what maybe they don't expect is the other stuff that we've done. So the library at the moment is open, whether that is at the main campus or our London campus. So students can book in to use the library for their studies. And we give students the option of having a free of cost lateral flow COVID test. So it's one of those instant tests. So you do it and you get the results. And students are encouraged to do that twice a week at least if they're coming to campus to use our library and our learning resources. When campus reopens, then we will see even more of that. And that is all being done with our academics, with the NHS, which is the National Health Service, and with lots of consultants. So I really want students to feel really assured that indeed we have taken COVID very seriously. In terms of like that kind of what the Prime Minister said is the one-way road to freedom. On the 8th of March, which was on Monday, schools reopened, not universities, but schools reopened. On the 12th of April, which is in exactly 1 month's time, the gyms, hairdressers, which I'm very grateful for, so the hairdressers and the salons and all the non-essential retailers are opening. So that's all your big shopping malls, Zara, H&M, The Gap, all those shops are reopening. From the 17th of May, then you're allowed to have people inside your house to interact socially. Hotels are reopening, things like that. And on the 21st of June, which is the day that we're all anticipating very much, that is the day that all social restrictions will be lifting. And that's because the UK has been doing so well, even globally speaking, so well on kind of the vaccination process. So we really are, we're almost there. And students feel it and they're very excited, and so are we.
I can't wait, honestly, I can't wait. It's basically over 20 million vaccines from what I've known have been already done in the UK. And the restrictions being completely over on the 21st of June really gives a lot of hope for all the students looking at coming in September, and especially for students that are looking to coming in May, because as we were just saying, Coventry has everything thought out anyway. You seem to have thought of everything basically. And it's really important for students to be able to restart their education processes, especially after a year of pandemic where we really couldn't do a lot. And education has been so important to actually allow social mobility and to allow people to move on with their lives and their careers. That why not start in May instead of waiting until September to the restrictions being lifted?
Exactly. And, my kind of motto is, why delay? Start in May. We know so many of you have been waiting and you've maybe deferred your offer. You weren't feeling, you weren't feeling ready to leave your family or leave your country, which is completely fair play. But listen, we're almost there, and our May intake on the main campus starts on the 17th of May, and in London it starts a week later. And so a month after you arrive, and you don't have to arrive in that month, but on the 21st of June, everything in theory is meant to be back to normal. So it's a great time to come. And I see Ibrahim, or Baron Ibrahim, hi. He's got a question as well about sports courses available for May. It's a good question. We have, sorry, give me 1 second. We've got 42 different courses. We don't have a specific sport course. We do have things like MSc Management. We have things like Business Administration, which of course you can apply that to the sport industry depending on kind of what you were looking to get into. Or you could always kind of orientate your dissertation or your internship or something like that into the field of sport. But we don't have a particular kind of sport science course that is available for the May intake.
Exactly, but that's actually, we were talking about this earlier, and I want to go back to that, where we talked a bit about the work placements and the internships that students could do on these courses. Do you want to expand on that a little bit?
Absolutely. So part of like our, I mentioned that Coventry is a modern university with a modern approach to teaching and to learning. And a big part of that is that kind of like industry, work experience, internship kind of aspect. So many, or let me say most of our courses, whether you're on the undergraduate level or the master's level, have some kind of practical focus. So that could be something like a full, what we call a sandwich year, which is when you do year 1, year 2, a year out on placement and come back for final year. So that's the sandwich option for undergrads. Or for master's students, we call that the extended professional placement, which is when they study and then they go on a placement for a year or just under a year, and then they come back to do their final big piece of coursework, which, it could be traditionally would have been a dissertation, but usually if you do an extended professional practice, you actually write kind of a business case or a reflection paper on what you learned in that internship or that placement. So we're super focused on that. And we've got our talent team, which is so beautifully named, I think, a talent team. I just love, the ethos of that. But we've got our talent team and lots and lots of resources in the university to enable students to get those placements. Or sometimes a student doesn't want a big formal placement. They might just want to do, I don't know, a summer internship. And I know, like, okay, students, you guys take interns, don't you? So you actually handpick students from marketing departments and business departments and different kind of departments from the UK, and you guys offer kind of 4-week, 5-week, 6-week internships sometimes. And lots of companies like that do that in the UK.
It's really interesting, and it's really important because that just means that students can get more and more professional experience, especially in their areas, which is incredibly relevant for their CV. And getting that experience before even finishing your course is such an important thing that can really boost a student's career.
Yeah, absolutely.
I really think, and the talent team name, I love it. So Selma, I wanted to ask you as well, we've mentioned a lot about all of the Coventry campuses. Oh, but actually we have a question here from Caro. I don't know if you want to take it, about the accommodation being guaranteed in the students' halls for the May intake.
Yeah. Hi, Caro. Thanks for your question. And I don't know if you're joining us from Nigeria or if you're elsewhere, but great to hear from you. Is accommodation guaranteed in student halls for the intake? We have actually a surplus of accommodation available at the moment on our Coventry main campus. And we've got kind of, you can hardly call it an accommodation. It's more like a 5-star hotel for our London campus, which is just 30 seconds away, and it's a private accommodation, but it's only for students like at Coventry University London. So yes, there's plenty of accommodation available and at different price points as well. So absolutely, that is available, and we encourage you to book that as well.
Perfect. So it's really good to hear as well that students will be able to just come into Coventry, have their accommodation set up for them, and then start their studies right away. Yeah. So I have a little question here about the term dates. We've touched on this briefly as well. So students come in May and they can be online, is this right, until September?
Yes. So we're still, because we know that there's still anxiety around traveling and about quarantining for some countries, and some people in their own countries haven't yet received their vaccination, or whatever the cases may be, right? Every individual has a different circumstance, and no matter, depending on where you are in the world, the COVID situation could be different. So we haven't yet announced, because we're not yet sure what the full approach is going to be. But in theory, we are still offering this, what we call the blended approach to teaching and learning. So if you start your course in May, so again, we've got 42 different courses on the main campus, and we've got 8 courses in our bespoke business campus in the centre of London, so lots of choice. If you start one of those courses this May, then you can start online in your home country from the comfort of your home using our amazing platform called Aula, which is super dynamic, really modern, really cool piece of tech. You can start that online and come to the UK at any stage in your first semester.
That's perfect. So that gives a lot of flexibility to students. It allows them to plan really well. Definitely sign me up today for the May intake in Coventry. I wanted to ask you as well, like we've been talking a lot about these two campuses. So do you want to tell me a bit about the main differences in between the London campus and the main campus at Coventry?
Absolutely. So Coventry University, we are a really big institution. So we've got just over 32,000 students, and 2,000 of those students are actually based in our Coventry University London campus. And, lots of people will say that they are a London university or that they have a London campus, but, the City of London, the true City of London with a capital C, which is the original kind of Roman walls of what London was when it was first when the Romans first came, it's only 1 square mile. So it's very, very small. And that is the City of London. Everything else outside of that is considered Greater London. The Coventry University London campus is within that 1 square mile. So you might have seen every time you get a postcard of London, you see London Bridge, and then you see sometimes the Gurkha building or the big skyscrapers or the Shard or kind of these iconic buildings in London. And that is where our campus is. And we've got 2,000 students from 130 different countries.
That is amazing. That is an incredibly diverse campus.
It's so diverse, and we kind of specialize there in business. So we've got a really big kind of suite of specialized MBAs. We've got some generalist business courses as well, like an MSc in management. And we've got really kind of cool, sexy courses like a master's in fintech, a master's in that we're launching in September. We've got a master's in digital marketing and data analytics. So we've got really kind of cool cutting edge courses. For the May intake, we've got 8 of those courses. So the 8 that we have is a mix between undergrad and postgrad, but we've got the bachelor's in global business management, and we've got our accounting and finance top-up course. So if a student has already done some university or maybe has a HND or something, they can come and do a top-up, which is the final year. And then we've got our MSc in global finance for all the financiers out there. We've got our MSc in management. We've got our MBA in international marketing, which, I'm sure that's something that you'd be interested in, Mariana. Or we've got our MBA in global business as well.
Definitely. I'm gonna apply, Selma. I'm sorry, you've convinced me. I think the London campus sounds like such a good opportunity for anyone that wants to do a career in business, especially because all of the employers end up also being in London, and especially in that square mile, right?
Exactly. And it's like you can like feel, see, and touch the industry, to be rubbing shoulders in cafes and bars and restaurants within that square mile of some of the biggest change makers. Like, these are people. There are more financial transactions that happen within that 1 square mile than the GDPs of some countries in the world.
Wow.
It is the epicenter of finance, of insurance, it's the global capital of fintech. Fintech, people say, what is that? I mean, that's anything from decentralized finance, like Bitcoin. I mean, that's the buzz.
Exactly.
So Bitcoin, you'll learn all about that. But it's also things like, Western Union, TransferWise, even PayPal. I mean, this is all, fintech, which is finance and technology put together, and different kind of digital platforms in order to enable that. So
exactly. And it's super interesting, and it's such cutting edge technology. And it's definitely one of the areas that we see growing and growing every day. And a lot of the courses that you've mentioned are available for the May intake, are really courses that I feel would give the students such an edge professionally, because it would allow them to have this really powerful tech-informed professional approach to teaching.
Yeah, that's spot on.
Exactly. I think Coventry in general, because of its characteristics as a modern university, it's also just incredibly focused on professionalism and on professionalizing the students and on having really good industry links. So we already talked about the placement. We've already talked about all of these fantastic opportunities that students have. So I wanted to move on as well to why is this important for European students specifically, and why they should be on the lookout for the May intake?
Good question. I mean, not only do we have COVID on our head, we had to deal with Brexit as well. And that has had some repercussions. And the May intake is brilliant because this allows European students to still kind of grandfather in some of those lower fees. So I have my colleague Kyle actually on the line. And if it's okay with you, Marianne, I'd love to bring him in because he's one of our experts at Coventry about European Union, of course, the students, recruitment, but of course the finance aspect as well.
Perfect. So let's bring in Kyle. Hi, Kyle.
Hi,
how are you today?
I'm good. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Very good. Thank you for coming to talk to us. So do you want to introduce yourself? I mean, Selma has done a great job of introducing you, but do you want to just clarify your role at Coventry and why you're joining us today?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Kyle. So I am the International Officer for Europe and URCA here at Coventry University. So I am typically the main and first point of contact for our students from the EU. So at the point of meeting them at events, any application queries, admission queries, finance queries, I'm very much the go-to for our EU students. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
So will all EU students come to you when they go to Coventry?
They do usually, which is great. You know, pre-COVID, of course, it was always fantastic to see students that potentially I had met at an event in their home country to then suddenly see them on campus in Coventry, you know, studying the degree that, you know, is their degree of their dreams, and seeing them having a fantastic time is, you know, it's amazing. It's one of the best parts about the job, and I really can't wait to the point where we are back on campus and, you know, I am seeing them again in person. But I quite often get messages and emails and Instagram messages from students just to kind of update me on how they're getting on and, you know, how much they're enjoying it. So yeah, it's great.
It really sounds amazing. It sounds really rewarding as well to be able to see that journey that students take. Guys, don't forget, everyone who's watching us here today, we are live with Coventry University. We're here with Selma and Kyle, and they're here to answer all of your questions about the May intake and why is this especially important for European students. So Kyle, that's why we brought you in. So do you want to explain why this opportunity is incredible for EU students?
Of course. And I think it's exactly that. It is an incredible opportunity for our EU students, mainly for the fact that, you know, there's been a lot of doom and gloom for EU students with Brexit and COVID. And, you know, there's some positive news in the fact that, you know, Coventry is offering a May intake, and for EU students who enrol onto a recognised degree within the UK before the 1st of August 2021 will still have access to student finance through Student Finance England, but more importantly, will still pay home EU fees. So taking that into context, talking monetary terms, it's a way for students to not only still be able to pursue the opportunity of studying in the UK, but actually will save them thousands of pounds on tuition fees. So it really is an amazing opportunity in an ever-changing world. You know, with Europe, it's something that's not to be missed. Absolutely.
And that funding is for the duration of their courses, is that right?
Absolutely. So a student who is to enrol onto an undergraduate degree during our May intake will secure funding for the duration of their studies, but also at home fee status as well. So that's when I'm talking, it's an amazing opportunity, not only study-wise, but actually financially as well.
No, absolutely. It seems to me that it's basically the last chance for European students to pay £9,000 for their courses and have these courses funded through Student Finance England. So this is the main benefit of coming in on the May intake right now, is that you can actually get your tuition fees fully funded for the duration of your course.
Absolutely that. And, you know, for students who potentially didn't feel comfortable with pursuing their studies overseas previously and maybe missed our September or January intakes, but, you know, were in a position to be able to join a university, but maybe just didn't feel comfortable with the way that things were. But Sam already touched on it, that the UK is improving every day. You know, our vaccination rate, you know, the way that the government is continuing to open the country back up, you know, even by the time our May intake begins, things will be completely different, and they'll be completely different for the good as well. So, you know, those students who maybe were a little bit nervous before, this is a fantastic opportunity for them. And like I said, it's definitely not one to be missed. If you've ever thought about studying in the UK, if you've seen your friends go, or if you've seen family members go, and you maybe just weren't quite confident enough to make that leap, now is the time to do it. This is absolutely the time to go for it.
Absolutely. So don't forget, everyone, if you have any questions about this funding opportunity for EU students for the May intake, comment any question you have below. And if you still want to come and study in the UK in this May intake and have your tuition fees fully funded as a European student, just send us an email at info@okstudent.co.uk or send us your details through okstudent.com/book a meeting. It's really such an amazing opportunity, Kyle. I'm really impressed. And I'm really happy that European students get to have this chance to improve their CVs and be able to get top education in the UK fully funded through Student Finance England.
Absolutely. Me too. And, you know, being a bit biased and, you know, generally dealing with EU students previously, and, you know, building those relationships with students in, you know, a large amount of countries, I'm excited for them. You know, I think for them, it's an amazing opportunity, and I want to see them here. I want to see them on campus when it's safe, of course, and I want to see them just making the absolute best out of the opportunity. You know, Sam already touched in the opportunity of studying in our Coventry campus, but also at our London campus as well. You know, the possibilities for them are huge. So yeah, it really is fantastic.
Exactly. So we have a little technical question here from Sofia Pirish asking, do I need a visa to get the student finance funding? Do you want to comment on this, Kyle?
Of course. And without going into things too technically, there are some technicalities. So there's effectively two differences at the moment, is probably the easiest way to put it. So you have EU students who either have settled or pre-settled status. Those students do not require a visa. Students who do not have pre-settled or settled status will require a student visa. So there are routes to go down for student visas. There are costs, but in my opinion, they're very small costs in an investment in what will be the rest of your life. So yeah, you will need a visa. The team at OK Student will be able to help you with that process. They're fully knowledgeable on it. It is slightly different to those who have the pre-settled or settled status. So yeah.
Yeah, but it's what we were talking about in one of our recent meetings about this, is that so many people have gone through this visa process, and now we have the new graduate route as well that has significantly improved the speed of this process and the ease of it as well. So if you do want to come to the UK, Sophia, just contact OK Student through our email at info@okstudent.co.uk or send us your details through okstudent.com/book a meeting, and we'll be able to help you not only with the visa process, but also with getting your funding to come and study at Coventry University during this May intake.
Yeah, and it's like you just said, although it is a slightly different process to what EU students were typical of previously, it's a process that thousands of students from across the world go through every year, you know, and it's relatively straightforward, and there's amazing opportunities following your studies as well, you know, with the graduate route that was recently announced. So yeah, it's, although slightly different, it's manageable.
Exactly. And it still ends up being one of the best opportunities for European students to get their tuitions fully funded. I think that even if you have to go through a visa, just the money you're saving on tuition fees and the time you're saving by not starting in September will get you so ahead of everyone in your cohort and everyone in your age group and everyone with the same skills as you.
Absolutely that. Absolutely.
All right, so we have another question here about student support, and I might want to bring in Selma back for this one because we talked a bit about this. We talked a bit about Aula. So Sophia here was asking, how are we managing? Hey, Selma, welcome back.
Hello.
So Sophia here is asking, how are you guys managing student support with online classes and students staying in their home country? So we touched on this a bit. I wonder if you want to briefly answer Sophia here.
Definitely. Hi, Sophia. Thank you for your questions, and they're great questions. So how are we managing student support with online classes? So great question. We've got a platform called Aula, which is largely an academic platform for you to connect and engage with your learning and the teaching. And you can also connect with your other classmates through that. But we still have all the other functions of student support, whether that is welfare, whether that is counseling, whether that is hardship funds, any of those aspects that we call student support. All of those functions and all of those departments remain completely open, except that now it's virtual. Actually, students have responded even better to this. I think there's something about, rather than having to go in person into someone's office and sit down really formally and explain your situation, the fact that they can do a Teams or like a instant message chat with an advisor, or to do a Zoom call like this, it's actually broken down barriers, and students are able to kind of express themselves effectively, and we're able to also offer that support. So that's in terms of like any support that you might need from that side. Then there's also the social stuff about student union and kind of engaging in that kind of fun social stuff. That's largely been moved, not largely, it's been completely moved online as well. So for student union activities, which is like when you join a society. So for example, there is like a wine and cheese society, which is a personal fave of mine. And of course, they can't do all the wine tastings in real life together. So the students are super clever, and they're ordering kind of tasters, like small bottles, and they're all being sent to their houses, and they're doing like a virtual tasting, or they're doing like a virtual quiz, or they're still kind of dressing up and doing things online. So they are still engaging and supporting each other socially, academically, and with kind of welfare things very well. But as I said before, Sophia, and I don't know if you were with us, but the UK is set to completely reopen from the 21st of June. So this is only going to be about 4 weeks after the May students start their course. And social interactions, kind of pubs, restaurants, big shops, activities, gyms, all of those things are set to reopen toward the end of June. And that is according to our government and our Prime Minister. So things will be returning to normal very soon.
Exactly. And I can't wait for that day, honestly, when we can actually have social interactions again. And I think you were describing a really important thing that we haven't really touched on, where it's some students have actually found that studying online does help them break those barriers to accessibility, both in support and in classes themselves and in accessing their lecturers. So it might be actually that studying online gives you a bit of an edge there for you to be able to acclimatize to being in classes, acclimatize to getting to know your lecturers and all of these things. So I really think it's important to also take this as an opportunity to not only improve our skills, but also find new ways of working together.
Absolutely. And I mean, Kyle will agree with me, I'm sure, because we meet thousands of students. You know, we travel to countries all across the world, and we kind of bring that open day experience to students in real life. And a lot of times students they're shy. They're worried about maybe their English. They're worried about interacting with, like, not that me and Kyle are scary, but the kind of authority figures or someone in a university. And, you know, it's all those normal things that people feel. But since we've done things virtually, I think young people especially are very comfortable and they're very used to interacting online anyway. And we get more questions than ever. We get really interesting dialogues and discussions and debates that happen kind of online through platforms like this, because people suddenly feel like, I can ask that question, or I can say what I want to say. I can express myself. So it's been quite cool, actually.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I completely agree. And I think the world we live in now is a digital world, and certainly the generation that are at the age of joining universities, that is their world. So they're probably slightly better at it than myself and Selma are. That we're now moving into their world, and it's something they're very, very comfortable with, and find very easy to use.
Yeah,
exactly. So shall we talk about some practicals of timelines for applications, what documents the students might need to apply so they can definitely take advantage of this opportunity with Coventry?
Definitely.
Yeah.
So if you did want to apply, so we are now March 11th. So the May intake, it's quite imminent, but you still have lots of time, so no one should be panicking. I just want to say as well, if anyone out there, if you have applied to come to the UK for a September intake, whether it's at Coventry or somewhere else, it's not too late to switch and actually come this May, and you can be starting your classes in the next 6, 7, 8 weeks. So it's really not too late, although it may feel around the corner. So if you did want to apply, we would encourage you to use the platform through OK Student, because they will gather your documents, and of course you're going to need your passport, your transcript, your certificate, whether that's your kind of secondary school certificate or your university degree. And they'll gather those documents, they'll help you with your application form and submit it on your behalf. It takes us around 10 days, or sometimes less, sometimes a bit more, to give you your offer letter, at which stage you will then be presented with the tuition fee and the next steps in terms of things like visa, accommodation, and all those bits. We do require students to pay a minimum of £4,000 toward their deposit if they're international students, in order to kind of secure in that offer and for us to consider you a confirmed student. And on that note, Kyla is going to tell you about some of the really good scholarships and some of the discounts that we have for European students and for international students as well.
Yes, absolutely. So I think probably the most important and accessible scholarship for May for our postgraduate students. So we do have a large number of postgraduate offers during our May intake. Is students from the EU who enroll during our May intake will receive a scholarship of a 15% discount on their tuition fee. So again, is a huge saving. And on top of already paying home fees is another additional discount. So we also have the academic excellence scholarship as well. So that I always advise students that I meet, whether it's virtually or previously in person, is to apply for the scholarships. The scholarships that you see, apply for them. If anything, it gives you experience in writing up, similarly to your personal statements as to why you feel you should receive the scholarship. Talk about your previous successes, talk about what you've done great previously, because that's why you're having the confidence to move to another country, to go to a university in another country, is the successes that you've achieved previously, whether it's academically, whether it's personal, whether it's voluntary, anything you've done. Brag about it, talk about your successes. I know I like to, so.
I think that's really important for students to know. It's just, even if you think you can't do it, just apply, because it gives you practice.
Yeah, absolutely. Just go for it. Whatever you see, go for it. You've got nothing to lose. Exactly.
And I think with the personal statement and with all of these things, it's really important that students are aware that you have things to show in your personal statement, and you have things to show these universities for their scholarship application. And it's just really good that they're able to do this with our help as well, because we help them with with building their personal statement as well, and building their CV, and any applications for scholarships as well. So if you do want to apply for Coventry University for this May intake, definitely contact us through info@okstudent.co.uk, or send us your details through okstudent.com/book a meeting, and we'll help you with everything around this application. So I have one last question about these application documents, is that students would normally, especially if they are coming from a country that doesn't have English as its main language, they will have to do an English test. Is that right? Does Coventry have any sort of test that they might take, or do they have to do IELTS or tests of that sort?
No. So again, more positive news is at Coventry, we do actually offer the Pearson VEPT test, which so basically once a student holds a conditional offer, at that point, one of their conditions will be their English. So they will receive their own personal student ID number at that point. And those students who potentially were unable to take an IELTS because the centres have been closed, or haven't got round to booking one, or just haven't done one, they have the opportunity to do it. So we would register them a Pearson online English test, and it's free of charge for the student as well. So we cover the cost of that to help them meet that English condition.
That's perfect. So again, lots of savings for these students if you do come on the May intake. So to give a bit of a brief here, so a summary of all the benefits of the May intake, do you guys want to take one each?
Yeah, I mean, if I go from an EU point of view, selfishly, but yeah, I think for EU students, this is absolutely the time to do it, and
the last time,
your last time to do it. So it's not an opportunity to be missed. It's from an educational point of view, it's a fantastic opportunity to come to the UK and study and achieve a Coventry University degree, whether it's from Coventry, whether it's from our central London campus. From an educational point of view, from a life experience point of view, the life experiences you'll gain from the UK, from meeting students from all over the world, will be a game changer for you when it comes to employment and starting your career in the field that you see yourself working. Like Selma said, don't delay, start in May. It's not one to be missed for students from EU.
Thanks, Kyle. I mean, obviously, I very much echo what you're saying, Kyle. And again, I just think it's so important to put things into context. So what we're kind of talking about here today, and what we've been discussing for the past hour, is Coventry University, a modern UK university. You can study in truly central London, or in our flagship Coventry campus in the West Midlands. We are #1 in the UK for international experience. In 2019, The Guardian ranked us number 13. Our business degrees are ranked 15th in the UK. So you have all of that kind of outstanding academic reputation, coupled with a modern approach to teaching and learning. We invest in technology. We've invested in Aula and all these things to make your journey smoother, better, and cooler. And couple that with amazing scholarships, discounts, and funding opportunities. So you've heard a little bit about the European student funding. From the international side, we've got scholarships of £1,500. We've got an Africa scholarship of £2,000. That means that you could do an undergraduate degree at a top UK university that was shortlisted for University of the Year, okay, in central London if you come to the London campus. If you get that scholarship, you're talking about only about £11,900 for your degree. I'm not saying it's change, but if you compare that to any other university in the UK, especially in London, you're usually talking about at least double that price. So you get all the facilities, all the support, the academic reputation, the flexibility to start in May, which is quite unusual, amazing support and concierge wraparound service by people like Kyle and I, partnership of your application and your enrollment through someone like OK Students. I can't think of a better deal.
Perfectly put, Selma. I couldn't have said it better myself. I want to thank you both for joining us today. Do you have any parting words or things we haven't mentioned in this live that might be important to mention before we go?
I think we've covered it all. And I think I would just say, like you've said previously, if there are any further questions, they can always come straight to you guys, and you can come straight to us to get them answered. So anything we may have missed or they may think about, once this event is finished, happy to answer them.
Exactly. So as Kyle just said, don't forget, everyone, you can always send us an email at info@okstudent.co.uk or send us your details through okstudent.com/book a meeting. And we'll be sure to get your application going for Coventry for the May intake, so you don't delay anymore. Don't delay, start in May, as Selma said. I love this tagline.
Perfect.
Thank you so much. And thank you as well to Caro, Sophia, and Baron for being kind of engaged with us and asking those really good questions. I really enjoyed this, spending my coffee lunch and time with you guys talking about the May intake. Thank you.
Exactly. We definitely need to do this again soon. And thank you so much to everyone who's asked us questions and everyone who's seen us today. Don't forget, follow OK Student on our social media. We're on Medium, we're on TikTok, we're on Facebook, we're on LinkedIn, we're on Instagram, we're everywhere. So follow us at OK_student. And don't forget, send us an email if you have any further questions at info@okstudent.co.uk or send us your details through okstudent.com/book a meeting. This was lovely. Thank you to both Kyle and Selma. And thank you to everyone who's watched us, and have a great day, everyone.